over to you, Hooman. We're
Welcome,
excited.
welcome everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, David and WITI, and for allowing me to share of my adventures in Israel. So, real quickly, I'm the only artist in the world asked by the state of Israel to make murals in support of the women of Iran who have been fighting for their freedom. So, I think the best way to do this is through a series of slides here. Um, so let me just start sharing my
Microphone off.
do you all know who this woman is here? Her name is Mahsa Amini, and she was murdered.
Yes.
Okay, great. She was murdered on October of actually September 16th, 2022. And she was beaten to death because she had a little too much of her hair showing out of her hijab. When this happened, the Persians around the world, it wasn't just because of this. There were a series of events that happened before this, but this is what actually made the bomb explode. I felt like the fuse was lit and the bomb exploded after she was murdered. And so people were, interacting, trying to bring rallies together, very similar to what you're seeing all around the world right now for different causes. And this one woman reached out to me and she said, "We need to make murals." I told her, "I don't make murals." She said, "Please just get us a wall somewhere in San Francisco." So I called the art commissioner. The art commissioner said, "I get to pick the wall. I get to pick the artist. I get to pick the design." So the mural that was born in San Francisco is this picture right here. This is the wall. I didn't do anything except get the wall. That's all I did. I didn't design this, anything. The woman who painted and designed it, her name is Farnaz. She's right here. It's very straightforward design. It's a woman cutting her hair with the words "Woman, Life, Freedom" on it. And the green, white, and red, yes, it's the color of the Palestinian flag, but it's also the color of the flag of Iran. Most of the Muslim countries, if not all of them, have a series of colors like this, at least the green and the white. And Iran is 97% Muslim. So this picture went viral, and one of the people that saw it was the vice mayor of Jerusalem. And I was introduced to the vice mayor of Jerusalem by a woman named Emily Schrader, who's a journalist and a humanitarian. And this is the two of them. And they said, "We want murals in support of the women of Iran in Israel." And this is the first picture the three of us ever took together. We had that meeting in December of 2022. And in January 2023, the first Woman Life Freedom mural was unveiled in Israel. And you can see us up here. We're the small people. This thing is 21 feet long, 15 feet wide. It's also very straightforward, very simple. Those four women all murdered by the Islamic regime. They were murdered for showing their hair, and we united them with their hair. This was a big deal. When this mural was unveiled, the eyes of the world came to Israel. And for one day, and one day only, it seemed, Israel had good press. And the Jews were loved by the entire world on January 9th, 2023. When you look at this picture, this woman's name is Fereshteh. She's a Kurdish Iranian. So is Mahsa Amini. So the Kurds have been in Iran for over 1,000 years. And at her funeral, this image went around the world. This is her 5-year-old daughter crying at her grave. And this sort of broke the heart of every Iranian around the world. This affected me. I looked at this picture every single day, and this is why I include Fereshteh into this mural. The second mural was unveiled 3 weeks after. This is in Nazareth. Nazareth is an entirely Arab city within Jerusalem. 70% Muslim, 30% Christian. No Jews live in Nazareth. It's Jesus's hometown. It's where Jesus lived from the age of 4 to 29. Those 15 people all murdered by the Islamic regime. So I kind of created a heavenly kind of, they're gathered, they're smiling, they're proud. And this little girl was 7, this boy was 9. And then in the mural, we put the names and the ages. I put these 3 lines together. These 3 lines, this woman writing a line with a sword in her hand is my way of giving a nod to the first woman-led revolution in the history of the world. This is the flag of Jerusalem, the Lion of Judah outside the Temple Mount. And then this is the original Zoroastrian symbol of Iran, a lion holding a sword with the sun rising at its back. It was at this mural that this phrase was born. It's time for the Esthers of the world to rise up. So this phrase complements this symbol, and this symbol complements this phrase. One of the things the Islamic regime does to the women who protest is they invented a little gun, and that gun is used to shoot out the eye of a woman who protests. So this is one of the women whose eye was shot out. Here's another woman whose eye was shot out, and you can see the Islamic regime targets very beautiful women. To sort of make even a louder statement. We can talk about that later. I found this artist in Budapest. This is what she does for people missing an eye. Called her up, said, hey, I'm going to borrow this idea. This is the 3rd mural. It's in Netanya. This is this woman. Her name is Nilufar. She's a nurse. So I covered her eye with the nightingale, the bird of Iran. And then you can see all the symbols together. This is the water lily. It's the flower of Iran. This mural is incredibly important, and at the time I didn't realize how important it was. The Shah's son is also named Reza Pahlavi, and he visited Israel on April 20th, 2023, and he stood in front of that mural. And because he stood in front of that mural, this picture went around the world 10 million times. And so you have the prince. This is the first time any royalty from Iran ever visited Israel. And so the Jews and the Persians have been friends for 3,000 years, but no royalty of Iran had ever gone to Israel. So if the Islamic regime should ever fall, he would be there for the transition. That's his wife. That's the mayor of Netanya. This is a woman named Ruth Wasserman, who is helping me find walls as well. This is the 4th mural. It's also in Netanya. And here you have one of the women. It's this woman here whose eye was shot out. And covering her eye is the bird of Israel. It's the hoopoe. And behind her, if you've ever been to Israel, where Solomon's temple used to sit, the Temple Mount, it's not there anymore. It was destroyed in 70 AD. It's where the Dome of the Rock now sits, in the El Aqsa Mosque, the 3rd holiest site in all of Islam. Around the Temple Mount are a bunch of entrances. There's the Jaffa Gate, there's the Lion Gate, but there's one gate that's sealed, and it was sealed by a guy named Saladin around 1000 AD. And it's called the Eastern Gate. It's also called the Golden Gate. It's also called the Gate of Mercy. And it's been sealed for over 1,000 years. And biblically speaking, this gate is very important. So I literally brought Jerusalem to Netanya. So I put her in front of or next to the Eastern Gate. And here you've got all the symbols, Esthers of the world rise up. So after these 4 murals happened, what happened? The Islamic regime became very upset. And they said, we cannot allow these murals in Israel, because at this point, all of a sudden, you went from 0 murals in the Middle East to 4 murals in the Middle East. And these murals were getting incredible attention, especially this one. This one was getting insane attention. So the Islamic regime said, we need to respond. We need to respond with our own mural. So this is the mural the Islamic regime created. And it's a mural of an atomic bomb. And on the mural, they wrote in Hebrew, 400 seconds to Tel Aviv. Now, the reason I know this mural is in response to the 4 murals I created is because there were already 45 murals or 50 murals in the world in support of the women of Iran. There were already 45 by the time I put this one up. When I put this one, I was probably number 50 to the game. There might have even been 60. Islamic regime didn't make any murals. All of a sudden, after this one, they did this. So what do we know? We know these murals move the needle. We know the Islamic regime is watching, and we know these murals upset them. All right, I want to show you a quick video here. Give me 1 second. Okay. Let's watch this real quick. See if it works. Hopefully. So, what are we seeing here? We're basically seeing 4 girls dancing. Let me go back to where did my oh, there we go. Yeah, so we're seeing 4 girls dancing. And so in Iran, it is illegal to dance. Not only is it illegal to show your hair, but it's illegal to dance. So those 4 girls did that dance and they were arrested. And they were,
Hooman, we see your mural slides, the projects tab. You have to change tabs.
oh, I have to change tabs. Hold on.
Yeah.
How do I do that? How do I change tabs?
You can unshare, reshare, or just at the share button, change the tab you're sharing. It's one or the other.
Stop sharing
Yeah.
and then share screen. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Is that better? Can you see that?
We still see the projects.
Yeah,
slide.
yeah. No, this is what I wanted you to see. So those 4 girls, and so this is a very famous structure in Iran, and this structure is called Azadi Tower, and this is like the Eiffel Tower of Iran, and so it means Freedom Tower. And I want to show you a Bible verse. This is a Bible verse that no preacher ever preaches on and no rabbi ever preaches on. So over and over, God says, especially in the Old Testament, he doesn't ever say it in the New Testament, but he always says, I'm going to set my throne in Zion. I'm going to set my throne in Jerusalem. I'm going to set my throne in Israel. God's focus is on Israel. God's focus is on Zion. God's focus on Jerusalem specifically. Then there's this one obscure verse in Jeremiah 49:38. Where God says, I will set my throne in Elam and destroy her kings and officials. Well, what is Elam? This is Elam. Elam is Iran. And Elam is the birthplace of Cyrus, King Cyrus. This is where the whole book of Esther took place. And this is where Esther is buried. So those 5 girls, I've been thinking about those 5 girls a lot. I've been thinking about this tower. I've been thinking about this verse. And I've been wanting to do something with those images, so I created this. The 5 girls dancing in front of Azadi Tower with the words, Esther's of the world rise up. And I put my very first Bible verse in a mural. And this mural was unveiled in downtown LA. And it's still there. It's on the Neiman Brothers building. And so you have a DJ and you have thousands of people cheering on the 5 girls. It's like a future image. It's an image of the future where dancing will be celebrated as it should be. So I don't know what happened to those 15 girls. I've read a lot of different reports. They got lashes. They were put in 5 separate prisons. Hopefully they've been returned home. From what I understand, nobody's really heard from them since. If you were to type in the name Mahsa Amini into Google, this is the image you would see. Now, if you were saying, what do you think of this image? I tell you, I hate everything about this image. I don't like that she's covered. I don't like that she's wearing all black. You can see this is her village. The Kurds are treated the way probably the Mexicans were treated in the 1950s in California. They're not treated well. You can see she comes from a lower economic class background. So I was very unhappy with this. Thank God for AI. We created this image of Mahsa Amini. Turn that image into a mosaic. This is the mural that's at Haifa University. And within her face, I put the face of 1,020 Iranians who were either murdered or put in prison. Okay, so all of the sudden, something crazy happened. October 7th happened. And when October 7th happened, the government of Israel is like, don't come, don't come. I prayed about it. I laid low for October. I laid low for November. And then I came in December. I came in December, just a couple months after the unfortunate, the horrible, the horrific events of October 7th. And I said, I have a mural ready. And they said, we can't help you. There's nothing we can do. Sat in my hotel room alone for 6 days. On the 7th day, the Israeli government came and they said, okay, let's see the mural. I showed them the mural. So here you've got Masa Amini, but who is this? Who's this person? So of the 15 million Jews in the world, 500,000 of them are Iranian Jews. And if you can remember this map here, Esther, this whole book takes place here. The Persian Jews, the 500,000 of them, are all from the time of Esther, all of them. And so this woman here is a Persian Jew who was killed by Hamas on October 7th. And her name is Sherelle Haimpour. And here's the scale of the mural. You can see it's the largest one I've ever done. It's 60 feet wide, probably 25 feet high. And it's on the Museum of Tolerance. Now, if you ever make it to Israel, the Museum of Tolerance is basically in the center of Jerusalem. It's like, you know, it's prime real estate. This mural is seen by tens of thousands of people every single day walking throughout Israel. And Sherelle Haimpour was an IDF soldier, and it was her very last weekend of being a soldier. And when the fighting started, she heard it. It was her day off. It was her last day of being a soldier. And what'd she do? She picked up her machine gun and she ran into the battle. Why? Because she loves Israel. She loves her family. She loves her country. Hamas shot her in the head. They burned her body. And she was killed. And so she's Jewish, but she's a Persian woman. She is a Persian woman. And so she's Jewish, she's Kurdish, but they're both Iranian. At the end of the day, they're both Iranian. And Hamas is an arm of the Islamic regime of Iran. So the Islamic regime killed this woman and Hamas killed this woman, and they're both Persian. So I put them in the mural and I put 2 Bible verses. In that day, Jerusalem will be known as the throne of the Lord. And I will set my throne in, and I will destroy her kings and officials. What's God saying here? He's saying, I'm going to put my first throne in Israel, but I'm going to have a second throne. And I'm going to put it with the Persian people, because the Persian people have always stood with Israel, and they've always stood with the Jewish people. So this is the only parchment in the entire world where the 2 thrones of God are side by side. And next to Sherelle Haimpour, I put Solomon's Temple, because that is the closest thing we have to God's throne. In here, you can see Azadi Tower and the word Esther's of the world rise up. And within Sherelle's face, what did I do? I put all the victims of October 7th. That's the 8th mural. This is the 9th mural. Does this girl look familiar to anyone? Feel free to unmute yourself. Has anybody seen this girl before? Anyone?
Was that the granddaughter crying at the grave?
It is. That's exactly right. I think about her all the time. And I wanted to make an homage to this little girl, because every time I think about her, my heart breaks, your heart breaks. So what do we see here? In Iran, one of the things the Islamic regime does is they will poison the little girls in the schools. They'll lock all the doors and they'll put poison in the vents, and they'll keep the doors locked for about 45 minutes. They'll open the doors and all the girls will come out crying and vomiting. And so what you have is a schoolgirl from Iran surrounded by poison, holding a gas mask, but her hair is showing. And you have the words woman, life, freedom in her hair in Farsi. Here's Sherelle Haimpour, and then you've got Massa, the little girls, and Sherelle. This is a mural in Tel Aviv. In Iran, there's this woman, her name is Kosar. And Kosar won the silver medal for Iran in archery. Well, she protested. She showed her hair. And so what did the Islamic regime do? They shot out one of her eyes so she could no longer do archery. So obviously this affected me, and I thought I have to make a mural in honor of this woman. So this is also in Tel Aviv. So I put Kosar on a lion with a bow and arrow in her hand. Next to her is Queen Esther. You've got the map of Iran showing Elam. You have Sherelle Haimpour. So you have Kosar, like 3 strong Persian women, and then you've got these 2 hands. What's going on here with these 2 hands? There's Elam. I didn't invent this symbol. I saw it somewhere online. I'm like, I'm going to start incorporating this into the murals. We hadn't heard from the Islamic regime in a few months. I was like, are they still watching me? Well, lo and behold, they are. After they saw this symbol, the Islamic regime responded, and they created this symbol right here. So what do you have? You have a Palestinian man and you have an Iranian man, and they're holding hands. And they also use the heart symbol, the flag of Iran, the Palestinian flag, and a heart in the middle. And in Farsi, it says, we are one. We are one. So this image is in response to that image there. Let me see what this is. Oh yeah, it's Mount Rushmore. So I decided to do my second mural in the United States, and this is it. It's in Berkeley. Berkeley is considered the most anti-Semitic city in the Bay Area. So what do you have here? You got Sherelle, Massa, you got the Sea of Galilee, the flag of Jerusalem. You got the colors of Iran, which are also very similar to the colors of the Palestinian flag. And then you've got the Mount Rushmore of Iranian men who have been supporting the cause of the women and the freedom of Iran through their raps, through their music, through their poetry. I don't know if any of you know who this guy is. His name is Toomaj. And Toomaj is basically like the Jay-Z of Iran, the Eminem of Iran. He's a rapper. And at the end of April, they said, we're going to hang Toomaj. They had tortured him in prison for 2 years. They said, we're going to hang him. And so I got a call from Israel saying, you got to make a mural of Toomaj. So in May of this year, we went ahead and made this mural here. This is Toomaj, and this is at the Elvis Presley Diner. And we wanted to get this mural up before he was going to be executed. I should have had some Toomaj raps ready for you, but you have an idea of who he is. This is him. It's at the Elvis Presley Diner. We made actually 2 Toomaj murals. So, and just last week, the Islamic regime said, we're not going to hang Toomaj. So once again, these murals made a huge impact. I know I wasn't the only reason. There were thousands of voices, tens of thousands of voices, but these are the only Toomaj murals in the entire world. And who said we welcome the Toomaj mural? The Jews. They said, please put Toomaj here. Please put him in our country. So it's a beautiful thing. Okay, so anybody know who this guy is? Quick, you can unmute yourself. Anyone know who that guy is? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone?
An Ayatollah, correct?
It is an Ayatollah, but do you know specifically which
I'm not sure I'm gonna get the name right. Sorry.
Is he the one that just died? Or
He
no?
is the one who just died. His name is President Raisi. He was the president of Iran. And
Right.
he was in a
Plane crash
helicopter.
or helicopter crash, yeah.
Yeah, and the helicopter crashed into the mountains.
Right.
So as soon as it crashed, there was a humongous celebration. This man was known as the Butcher of Tehran. So I had just gotten back from Israel, and this dude crashed. This guy crashed. And all of a sudden, I'm getting calls going, let's figure out a way to memorialize this man's death. This is a reason to celebrate. He's not the modern day Hitler, but he's pretty bad. So all of a sudden, all these memes were invented. This is one. It's known as International Helicopter Day. May 19th. This is how the Iranians were celebrating. So I saw an image online, and this was the image I saw. So what are you looking at here? These are all the women that Raisi murdered in their hair, and their hair is pulling down his helicopter. And this is a great image, and it was done by an underground artist somewhere in the Middle East. So I called the guy who posted the image, and I said, can I possibly create this mural in Israel, Iran's #1 enemy? In 1 minute, he called me back and he said, yes, put this in. But I liked this, but I didn't love it because I didn't think it was powerful enough. It's powerful, but I wanted to make it more powerful. So I created this. So what are you looking at here? You've got the hair, the women, the prayers of the people of the world. And then you got this Bible verse. And what's this Bible verse saying? I'll set my throne in Elam and destroy her king. And this is God speaking. So here you've got the hand of God breaking through, touching the helicopter as the hair and the strength and the courage of women are pulling down the helicopter. And then you got the words, Esther's of the world rise up. And you've got the woman riding the lion and the flagagers. You got the 3 lions together. So we put this mural in Tel Aviv recently. And it got a lot of eyebrows raised. There's no way I could put this mural in Jerusalem or any of the conservative cities. So thank God for Tel Aviv. Anyone know what city this is right here? Anyone? Anyone know how to pronounce this city? Who knows how to pronounce this city? This Safed, close. This is the city of Svat, and the Jews, Svat, yeah, the Jews spell it Tzfad. And according to the ultra-Orthodox Jews, there's 4 holy cities, and Svat is one of the 4 holy cities. And Svat is the birthplace of the Kabbalah and Jewish mysticism. And so it's a very they do things in Svat that the rest of the Jews in the land don't necessarily do or even prescribe to. But there was an ultra-Orthodox Jewish woman there, and she said, I want a mural in Svat. Now, to put a mural in the conservative cities or an entirely Arab city, like, this is very difficult. Not only is it very difficult, it's impossible. Because it's one thing to put a mural in Tel Aviv, but to get murals in Jerusalem and other conservative Jewish cities or very Muslim Arab cities, it takes a miracle. And so when she called and said, can you put a mural in Sfat? I said, yes, but I wanted the mural to also be mystical. So this is the 14th mural, and I'm at 14. This is the mural in Sfat. So what are you looking at here? You have the words woman, life, freedom, and you have 4 angels. And what are the 4 angels doing? They're holding back the 4 winds, the wind from the north, the wind from the south, the wind from the east and the west. And this has a biblical reference to it. And the reason they're holding back the wind is because each one of the 4 holy cities is associated with an element. So Jerusalem is fire and Sfat is wind. It's the air. So they're holding back the wind. So you have 4 angels holding back the 4 wind. You have 4 Iranian Persian women. And then you have 4 biblical birds. You got the nightingale, the hoopoe, the peacock, and the dove. So everything is 4. And then also you have 4 symbols. So you have Massa and Sherelle. Who's this woman? Her name is Elahe, and she was blinded by the Islamic regime. They shot out one of her eyes. So we put the dove covering her eye. And this woman's name is Sahar. And she also is a Persian Jew killed by Hamas on October 7th. And then the background of the mural is the city of Sfat. So when I sent this to the folks at Sfat to approve, they said, we cannot approve this. Do you know what they were upset about? Can you tell from this image what alarmed them? Anyone have a guess? Anybody?
The hair.
The hair. I would guess the hair too, but they knew when they asked for this, I would not be covering up the hair of anybody. So it's not the hair. I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is. Oh, go ahead. No, they
modesty?
approved the scriptures because they're both from the Old Testament, and I'll show you those in a second.
It
But-
looks like you
Modesty down
added some other symbols in the group of symbols at the upper left.
Yeah,
Is it
that's no, that's the
the
seal of Sfat. That's the flag
Okay.
of Jerusalem. Yeah, no, it wasn't the symbols.
Maybe Shirelle, that she doesn't look like she's wearing a top.
That's true, and that did because you can see her shoulder, but no, that they said the hair covering her shoulder was enough.
The angels? That
It's
they're
the angels. That's right. The angels don't have enough clothes.
No
You can
way.
see his chest, and they
I left an extreme religion thing, so yeah,
that's
this
right.
is exactly what they'll.
It's amazing. You got it. You cannot show the chest of the angels. And I said, are you kidding me?
Don't
So-
they get their clothes from Zara? So I don't
Yeah, exactly.
know.
So what did we do?
Wow.
We put clothes on the angels. We covered them up a little bit more.
What?
So anyway.
That's intense.
So anyway, that is the 14 murals. That's the sort of the overview. My goal, as many of you know, is 18 murals in Israel. That's my goal. I want to do 18 murals. So when I started this in January of 2023, I remember going to church and praying and saying, God, the finish line, 17 murals is so far away. I'm never gonna get there. And here we are with 4 murals left. I can 100% see the finish line. I can actually pick the end date. I'm so close to the end. So what do we do now? Where do the last 4 murals go? Well, I want to put a mural in each of the holy cities. So everyone is okay with Jerusalem. Sfat is done. The other holy city is Tiberias, the Sea of Galilee. And the 4th holy city is incredibly controversial. It's a city called Hebron. And Hebron is where the tomb of the patriarchs is. It's where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are buried, but it's 350,000 Arabs and 1,000 Jews. So I've met with the mayor of Hebron several times, but haven't gotten the thumbs up. I know I'm going to try to put one there. I know I'm going to try to put one at the Sea of Galilee, and then I'll have 2 more left. And then I hope to make a documentary about all of this. And the reason is because this past year at the Sundance Film Festival, the film that won Best Documentary is a film called The Porcelain War. It's an okay film. But what's the Porcelain War about? It's about all the art that has come out of the Ukraine-Russia war. I am literally doing the exact same thing in Israel. That movie could win, at least the documentary I'm going to make can get a little bit of acknowledgement. Right now, as we all know, it's very fashionable. It's very in vogue to hate Israel and hate Jewish people. So what I'm doing right now is incredibly controversial. Often social media wise, I get a ton of death threats and stuff. Honestly, I'm going to tell you, the death threats don't bother me. The missiles in Israel don't bother me. The hardest thing about this, hands down, bar none, is 15 hours each way in the airplane. That's the only thing that bothers me. If I could figure out a way to get there faster and easier, I would do it. And then the last thing before I open it up to questions is, when am I planning on going back? I hope to go back sometime in August to do 2 more, and then I'll be left with the last 2. And I'll probably try to time the last 2 as close to October 7th as I can. So that's the long and short of it. I hope